Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the new chapter. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. Now, this is written by Gordon Cook and Ellen East. These are the authors of this story. It is an account of the sea voyage. In this module, you're going to get an overview of the paragraphs and also to enrich the vocabulary. Now, before going into the lesson, you have to notice these expressions in the text, infer their meanings from the context, honing our seafaring skills, ominous silence, mayday calls, pinpricks in the vast ocean, a tousled head. So, as you go on reading the lesson, just try to infer the meanings from the context. In July 1976, my wife Mary, son Jonathan, 6 years old, daughter Suzanne, 7, and I set from Plymouth, England to duplicate the round-the-world voyage made 200 years earlier by Captain James Cook. For the longest time, Mary and I, a 37-year-old businessman, had dreamt of sailing in the wake of the famous explorer, and for the past 16 years we had spent all our leisure time honing our seafaring skills in British waters. Our boat, Wave Walker, a 23-meter long, 30-ton wooden-hulled beauty, had been professionally built, and we had spent months fitting it out and testing it in the roughest weather we could find. The first leg of our planned 3-year 105,000 kilometer journey passed pleasantly as we sailed down the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. There, before heading east, we took on 2 crewmen, American Larry Vigil and Swiss Herb Ziegler, to help us tackle one of the world's roughest seas, the Southern Indian Ocean. So, the story is about a voyage by a 37-year-old businessman, his wife and 2 children, and they were trying to duplicate the voyage done 200 years before by James Cook. They wanted to repeat or make such a journey which was done by Captain James Cook 200 years before, and for the past 16 years they were trying to improve their skills, their sea traveling skills. They were improving all the leisure time. They were spending their leisure time to improve their skills in traveling sea, how to tackle the sea when it is in the rough weather, all those things. And they started their journey in their own ship. They had built professionally, they had made a professionally built a ship to travel. It was 23-meter long and 30-ton, a wooden hull beauty, and the name of the ship was Wave Walker. And as they started their journey, the first half was okay. It was smooth, and when they were about to travel to the Southern Indian Ocean, they hired 2 crew people to assist them, because they knew that the Southern Indian Ocean is a very rough sea. So they hired 2 men, Larry Vigil, who was an American, and Herb Ziegler, who was a Swiss national. On our second day out of Cape Town, we began to encounter strong gales. For the next few weeks, they blew continuously. Gales did not worry me, but the size of the waves was alarming, up to 15 meters, as high as our mainmast. December 25 found us 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town. Despite atrocious weather, we had a wonderful holiday, complete with a Christmas tree. New Year's Day saw no improvement in the weather, but we reasoned that it had to change soon, and it did change for the worse. At dawn on January 2nd, the waves were gigantic. We were sailing with only a small storm jib and were still making 8 knots. As the ship rose to the top of each wave, we could see endless, enormous seas rolling towards us, and the screaming of the wind and spray was painful to the ears. To slow the boat down, we dropped the storm jib and lashed a heavy mooring rope in a loop across the stern. Then we double lashed everything, went through our life raft drill, attached lifelines, donned oilskins and life jackets, and waited. So, on the second day, uh, there was strong wind blowing. The wind did not worry the narrator, but what worried was the size of the waves. It was very high waves. It was as high as the main mast of the ship. Main mast means the string to which the sails are attached. So the main mast means it will be very tall. Uh, the wind was as the waves were so tall as their main mast. On December 25, despite the bad weather, they enjoyed their Christmas with a very fine Christmas tree and all. They expected the weather to change. It did change, but how was it changed? It became worse, not a good change. It was a bad change. On January 2, the waves were so big they were using only a small storm jib. Means a sail used to hinder storm, used to protect them from the storm. And they were still traveling at the speed of 8 knots. It is a kind of speed in which the ship travels. They could hear the screaming of the wind and it frightened them. They dropped the storm jib. Maybe it was rolled or something. So they dropped it in order to slow down the ship. And they tied the rope around the stern to increase the friction of the boat against the water in order to slow down the ship speed. That is the meaning of lashed a heavy mooring rope. Lashed a heavy mooring rope means they tied a strong rope in order to uh, slow down the ship, to increase the friction of the boat against the water. So, and they double lashed everything. They tied everything second time in order to make it stay strong. They tied everything on the ship double, means 2 times. They tied it. And they went through their life raft drill. Life raft drill means how to escape in a life raft. It is a small boat in order to escape during the storm, an inflated boat. So life raft drill means they practiced how to escape in a life raft, and they attached lifelines, means life-saving things, life-saving equipments to the. They made everything ready. Donned oil skins means they wore oil skins. They wore a type of cloth which was oil waterproofed with oil. The water won't enter inside. And they wore life jackets. They waited for the worst to happen, for the bad. They expected that. They waited. The first indication of impending disaster came at about 6 p.m. with an ominous silence. The wind dropped and the sky immediately grew dark. Then came a growing roar and an enormous cloud towered aft of the ship. With horror, I realized that it was not a cloud but a wave like no other I had ever seen. It appeared perfectly vertical and almost twice the height of other waves, with a frightful breaking crest. The roar increased to a thunder as the stern moved up the face of the wave, and for a moment I thought we might ride over it. But then a tremendous explosion shook the deck. A torrent of green and white water broke over the ship. My head smashed into the wheel, and I was aware of flying overboard and sinking below the waves. I accepted my approaching death as I was losing consciousness, I felt quite peaceful. Unexpectedly, my head popped out of the water. A few meters away, Wave Walker was near capsizing, her mass almost horizontal. Then a wave hurled her upright. My lifeline jerked taut. I grabbed the guardrails and sailed through the air into Wave Walker's main boom. Subsequent waves tossed me around the deck like a rag doll. My left ribs cracked, my mouth filled with blood and broken teeth. Somehow I found the wheel, lined up the stern for the next wave, and hung on. Water everywhere. I could feel that the ship had water below, but I dared not abandon the wheel to investigate. So, the worst happened then at 6 p.m. There was an ominous silence, a complete silence, a frightening silence, and then the wind went out. Then came a growing roar of large sound that a huge cloud was coming, hitting the back of the ship. Aft of the ship means backside of the ship. It was towards the backside of the ship. Later on, our narrator realized that it was not a cloud, but it was a big wave. A wave so big that he had never seen in his life ever. And the At that time, the backside of the ship raised up, and he thought the ship was going to ride over the waves, but a tremendous explosion happened then. Yeah, our narrator's head smashed onto the wheel, and he was sinking in water. He thought that he was dying, but then somehow his head popped out of the water. He could breathe, and he could see Wave Walker was nearly about to drown. But then a wave made her upright, and the ship was in a correct position again, back to its position. Our narrator he somehow grabbed the guardrails, the rails on the ship, which was to prevent it from float sinking or something. So he grabbed onto that, and uh, he was sailing in that open air. And then he tried to get into the ship again, and he was like a everything. The waves were making him like a rag doll. Rag doll means a doll made a doll made out of clothes. So he was turning around like a rag doll. His ribs cracked, his mouth was filled with blood, and somehow he found the wheel and he held on to that very strongly. And he could feel the water everywhere. He wanted to investigate, but he did not have the guts to leave that wheel. So these are the new words that we came across. There are a lot of new words in this chapter, a lot of new words relating to the sea and ship. So just go through all these words and try to use it in a sentence. Now these are the self-check questions. Try answering them. Now this is a summary. The narrator, 37-year-old businessman, along with his wife Mary and two children, Jonathan, age 6, and Suzanne, age 7, went on a voyage on their ship in July 1976. They started from Plymouth, England. They wanted to complete the sea trip around the world, just like the one that had been completed 200 years ago by the famous Captain James Cook. The narrator and his wife spent 16 years improving their seafaring skills. They got a ship built professionally, a 23-meter long, 30-ton heavy wooden hull called Wave Walker. They took several months to test it in the roughest of weathers. The initial phase of the 3-year-long journey of 105,000 kilometers passed pleasantly. They sailed down the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. The narrator hired two crewmen before heading towards the east to tackle the roughest sea, the southern Indian Ocean. Their names were Larry Vigil, an American, and Herb Sigler, a Swiss. On the second day in Cape Town, they encountered a strong wind which continued for several weeks. A strong wind was not a problem, but 15 meters high waves, which were the height of the mast, worried the narrator. On December 25, they had traveled 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town. They celebrated Christmas together despite the bad weather. The weather remained the same till New Year's Day, but they hoped for it to change soon. The weather conditions worsened. On the early morning of January 2, the waves were very huge. They were sailing with a small storm jib at a speed of 8 knots. When the ship was sailing with the huge waves, they could see the huge sea in front of them. The noise of the waves and strong winds was painful for the ears. They dropped the storm jib to slow down the ship and hit a heavy mooring rope across the back part of the ship in a loop. They put on their oilskins and life jackets, attached lifelines, and went through the life raft drills and waited. Around 6 p.m., an unpleasant silence rolled over. It was an indication of a disaster which was about to happen. The wind suddenly dropped and the sky was darker with heavy clouds. A huge cloud was coming towards the stern of the ship, but later the narrator realized it was a huge wave. The wave was perfectly vertical, and it was twice the height of the previous waves they saw, with the top of the wave looking unpleasant due to its height. The thunder increased and the waves moved the stern up. They thought that it would not do any damage, but a huge explosion vibrated the deck. A strong moving stream of green and white water broke over the ship. The narrator's head smashed in the wheel of the ship. He flew overboard and sank below the waves. He accepted that his death was approaching and started losing consciousness. He felt quite peaceful. The narrator's head popped out of water. The ship was about to overturn, but a wave turned her upright. His lifeline jacket was stretched. He grabbed the guardrails and sailed to the ship's main pole. The waves tossed him around the deck. He was injured and as his left ribs cracked, his mouth filled with blood, and he had a broken tooth. He found the wheel lined the stern for the next wave and waited. There was water everywhere. The narrator could feel water below the ship, but he didn't leave the wheel alone. Suddenly, the front door opened. That's for today. Now, your TMLA is given on the next page is a picture of a yacht. Label the parts of the yacht using the terms given in the box. This is a picture of the yacht, and you have to label the parts with these words given in the box. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. Bye bye. Take care.